once we're logged in here, we're going to see a map pop up immediately. And really, at this stage, all we can see is a pipe center line with some parcel polygons behind it. Currently in Integra Link, there are tens of thousands of parcel polygons on many projects, and right-of-way is as a discipline is being managed and displayed through Integra Link. And the other thing that I would point out at this stage as well is that not only are right-of-way agents out in the field using Integra Link to help them manage their workflow, but also then surveyors as well to help them gain information about where they have permission to survey and where they don't, and essentially plan their day from a surveying perspective. So let's go through a real simple, quick workflow here with respect to right-of-way. First thing I'm going to do is just come up here into my search bar, and I'm going to type in the last name of one of the landowners that I know has property along our right-of-way. So I've typed in Leffler. The gentleman's name happens to be Don Leffler. And when I type in Leffler, immediately then I get search results here, and I get the line list item number from our database. And I can expand that now, and I can start to see more attribution about this particular landowner. So in this case, we might have a couple hundred property parcels along the right-of-way that we're either actively maintaining or could be maintaining as reroutes occur. And I can search by any one of those. I can search by line list number. I can search by landowner name. I can search by sort of any attribution associated with any of that data and immediately zoom to those locations. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So I just quickly zoom here now, and now we can see exactly where Mr. Leffler, in this case, has property along our project. So the other thing that we see here in the attribution, if we scroll down, are some actual notes that are being captured by the right-of-way agent out in the field. So think of a right-of-way agent out in the field using some potentially expert system that would allow them to do their job and do their job well. But now you want to share that information with the rest of the project team, and the rest of the project team is probably not trained on that expert system. Integra Link is the perfect platform for that, where everybody now can start to see where we have survey permission by the green and yellow polygons that you see on the map here. And then they can also start to see any of the issues that may be coming up as part of the project as well. In this case, it's less of an issue and more of an opportunity. And in this case, the land agent has captured the fact that Mr. Leffler has even said, if we wanted to pay him for some additional right-of-way, he'd be willing to let us build essentially a laydown yard or a pipe yard with part of his property. So you can see here that the right-of-way agent has captured a note that basically says anything south of County Road 68 and everything to the west of County Road 31, all the way up to the right-of-way. He's basically offering that up for us for an additional pipe yard or a laydown yard, that kind of thing. So what we can do then, as an interested party on this particular project, we could grab our measure tool here within the map, and then we can just click very simply on the map. And as I click on the map, we're going to start to see some length calculations down here, but we're also going to see an area calculation. And you can see that Integra Link is sort of auto-filling that polygon for me. So I've drawn 3 sides. It'll draw the 4th side of that rectangle for me automatically. And we can see now immediately that Mr. Leffler in this case is offering us about 20 acres for a laydown yard or a pipe yard. But the other thing that we can see here, again, since we're used to using Google Maps and we're used to that sort of stuff in our personal lives, we can also start to see that Mr. Leffler here appears to be working with some other energy companies as well. In this case, maybe more of a producing pad as opposed to a pipeline project, but certainly it seems to us that he's familiar with the game at this point as well. So the key aspects there that I showed were really simple search by a landowner's name and a very simple and quick navigation of the map and search results return. A very simple way of doing some measuring on the map. And then really the key here is that now everybody on the project team has access to that right-of-way information in what is essentially very real time as that project is progressing, so that everybody can make better decisions. Let's continue through the life cycle here, and we'll move into sort of more of an engineering hat on my head at this point. And so we're just going to reconfigure our map first of all by just turning off our measure tool here. And then we're also going to turn on one additional layer. that's called modification log here. Modification log is essentially a concept where, through the engineering phase of a project, what we want to do is make sure that we keep track of any modifications that are occurring on that project so that we can keep the permitting agencies up to date as those changes occur, and make sure that as we create submissions for those permits, they have all the appropriate information in them. So it's a key aspect of the engineering of the project to keep track of those modifications. So in this case, we're going to zoom back out first of all to the extent, and we'll just close our search results there. And then I'm going to type in Caballo Trail. I happen to remember as an engineer here that I was in a meeting and somebody was talking about this reroute that they wanted to do down by Caballo Trail, and maybe they had driven out there or whatever, but what really stuck out in my mind in that meeting for some reason or another was that term Caballo Trail. And so as I type in again my search results and hit enter, very quickly search comes back here. And in this case, there doesn't happen to be anything in our GIS system or in our database about Caballo Trail, but in fact there's data here from Google Places. So these are the same results that you would have gotten if you would have gone to Google Maps and typed in Caballo Trail. Again, with your map set at this extent, it's absolutely biased by location. And so we can again now zoom very, very quickly to that location, and now we can start to see as well our pipeline project that's showing up over here. So, and it didn't give me to exactly the right place, but certainly we can see the labels here and we can see where Caballo Trail goes. And so, they must have been talking about over here. And now that I'm here, I can start to see, I can start to reference again sort of what they were discussing in that meeting, and I can very easily now visualize what was going on. But beyond that, I can also click directly on this icon here, which happens to be my modification log icon. And so now I know exactly where we're talking about here, and I can even see the modification log item number, and I can expand the details here and start to see more information about, what this proposed modification is. In this particular case, it looks like they want to do a reroute to avoid some particular landowner, and then also minimize impact to a couple of other landowners, right? So, there's some reroute here to avoid a landowner and minimize impact on other landowners. We can start to see other attribution here, like the length of the change and, maybe what it's going to cost and that sort of stuff, maybe who submitted it and when it had been submitted. But beyond that, we can also download additional information. Essentially, somebody had gone out and digitized their proposed new route. So I'm just going to go ahead and download that proposed new route. So I've got some KML now on my local machine. And with that, I can come into Integra Link, and I can actually load that KML into the document as well, or into the map as well. And so now we've got this red line in the map, and that represents the reroute location, or where the new proposed route would be. And we can see, that it certainly does minimize the impact to a couple of landowners here. It actually shortens the route for us as well. And we can click on it and see some additional attribution that somebody may have put into some KML. Now, certainly they could have drawn that KML here in Integra Link, or they could have drawn it in any other application as well, but that data would also be then visible to me as part of this project through the Integra Link platform. Also at this stage, I think it's important to point out some of the other data sets that are here as well. You can see the center line itself, this is the designed center line. These different colors represent sort of the installation method of the design. So you can see here that we've got basically open cut, and then we've got a bore under a road here. And then we've also got some workspace polygons. It's interesting that some of this data is being maintained in GIS, some of this data is being maintained in CAD, but then reintegrated with Integra Link on a continuous basis. So as the project design changes, that information is available to really all of the project constituents. Whoever the team chooses to have access to that information can have access to that information, so that everybody is viewing essentially a single version of the truth. Okay, so we've reviewed this reroute that seems to be in place here, and there's actually another way for us to have sort of gotten the notification that there's something waiting for us. We can come here to the reporting interface as well and go to the modification log, and we'll see here that there is exactly one item that's waiting initial approval from engineering. That's me, and I can click on the details here, and when I click on the details, I can actually see that modification log item. And I could have also, if I was looking, as a part of my daily activities, I might come into this report and make sure that there's nothing waiting waiting for me. And I can also come in here then and just grab that modification log item number and go back to the map, and we could have searched for it that way as well. So certainly a number of ways that are all very familiar for you to get to the information that you need to see, and then also navigate that map according to those searches. So we've reviewed the item, and we want to go ahead and approve it. So we're just going to click on this Edit Record button here, and we're going to scroll down through the record. And we're going to come down here and give it engineering approval. So we're just going to go ahead and say yes here, and then we're going to save. And then if we just come back over here and refresh our map, we're going to see that it's no longer going to be awaiting engineering approval, and it's only going to be awaiting PM approval now. So you can see that, very, very quickly we were able to review a potential reroute, approve it from an engineering perspective, and then move it on through the workflow. And a key aspect of that is that all of that change and activity is being logged, so that, again, as we need to be submitting for permitting or that sort of information, we have all of that data and that backlog all right here together.